We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I am Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me are the men, the myth, the legends. They could podcast all day. Trilbee and Bandit.
What? Hello, here we are once again.
Hello everybody.
All together again.
Yeah.
I am back, baby.
It's like the Avengers. Yeah.
And Trey, smash.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah, only smash and create robot that kills somebody for Jessica Jones. That was kind of a cool.
That went quite quick.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what happened in the movies. How have you guys been? How you guys been?
I've been good.
I've been good.
Just a heads up to
we're
our
both good.
listeners, if you hear some weird thumping, that's because Trilbee's neighbours are playing music very loudly at about almost 10 p.m. at night where you are, isn't it, Trilbee?
Yeah.
On a Sunday night. It's a Sunday night, you absolute people. But see, I'm in a flat. I do apologise in advance. I'm on Skype. I'm going to mute the microphone whenever I'm not talking, so you don't get a constant background noise of it, because it's really bassy and loud. But I'm in a flat complex, so I don't know who specifically is doing it. So I'm thinking tomorrow when I get home from work, I'll just put passive-aggressive notes in bold red letters under everyone's door and just hope the message sticks.
It's fine. I can't hear it now, so we'll see how long
You just have
they
somebody
last.
at your door. It's like Jessica Jones if someone's just standing at your door.
I'll just smash the glass pane in the door.
Yeah, as you guys may or may know, as I was talking about you guys before, I'm moving soon, so I've been packing this whole weekend. So like my room's getting emptier and it's getting smaller and smaller. All my Star Wars stuff is off the wall except my calendar. Like everything's in boxes and whatnot. And so like if I sound tired today, it's because I've been packing all day. It's only 3:00, but I got up at 7:00 to start. So, all right, guys, how have you been, Ben? You been good?
Yeah, I'm very tired. It's
Yeah, so this is gonna be a tired one, guys.
AM.
Be excited.
I mean,
All
I
right.
love that our podcast is like multinational. We've got like America, Britain, and Australia, but these time zones are brutal. They really are.
Yeah.
You, Trey, you're
Sorry.
the only one who has it sort of at a normal time.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, some of us
except,
have work
I
in the
got-
morning.
Someone's got school in the morning. Yeah. And Bandit just over here like, it is the morning.
Yeah, like it is the morning. Yeah,
The morning is everywhere.
it is. It is the morning, and this is my work. So here we go.
Might as well just call this the complaint podcast. All right, guys, let's get into the movie news.
Complain away.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Okay. All right, guys. So this is the movie news. Also, before we get to the movie news, guys, if you do want to skip the main topics, the different topics of the show, we do have time codes in the description and all that good stuff. Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so the
that's
movie
right. I
news.
forgot to mention that too. Yes.
Yeah, I just wrote it down. Movie news. Okay, so Bandit, your favorite actress, Bandit, Charlize Theron, has just been cast as the main villain in Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah. So Furiosa is going to be in Fast and Furious 8. Now that's really cool.
Fast and Furiosa.
That'd be great.
Oh, that
Fast
was
and Furiosa.
predictable, but it works.
Yeah, that's really interesting because the last one was Jason Statham, and it was like
Oh, yeah,
him and
Jason
his
Statham.
brother from the last one. So I figured in this one they'd do a breakout and it'd be the two of them again. Maybe she's a sister.
Well, originally I know they wanted
This criminal family.
They wanted Helen Mirren to play the mom, and they went after Helen Mirren to play Jason Statham's mom, and she's like the head of this weird super villain, indestructible crime family. I'm just excited for them because this one's set in New York apparently or whatever. So I'm excited for them to be driving down like the Statue of Liberty and like talking about America and freedom and whatnot. And it's going to be trash.
It's interesting
like-
that it's being set in New York because they've been getting sort of more and more international, haven't they? The last one I think was in London, or was that the one before?
6 was set in London. I think the File Bad was in London, and
They went to Saudi Arabia or something in the last one. And
they went to Abu
Into
Dhabi and
Tokyo.
Dubai and all that. Yeah, Tokyo Drift. Yeah, that was great. I don't know.
I'm just thinking you can't set a Fast and Furious movie in New York because there's too much traffic. Nobody drives because there's too much traffic. They'll be slow and furious. Like, get off the road!
And this time,
Honk, honk.
the traffic fights back. Yeah.
Isn't it funny that they
The
call
light is green!
Isn't it funny that they call it rush hour when nobody's rushing because it's bumper to bumper, and it goes for much longer than an hour?
Yeah, one of my favourite lines ever in Futurama is, nobody ever drove in New York, there was too much traffic. But it's true.
So what do you think about Charlize being cast, Trilbee? How do you
It's
feel?
terrific news. It's Charlize Theron is terrific as a villain. Like, she's the only good thing about Snow White and the Huntsman. I've not seen Winter's War yet. I can guarantee she'll be great.
I loved Sam Claflin. I don't know. I thought he was a great generic hunk guy. I think, and I also like Chris Hemsworth. I honestly think Charlize Theron's very hit and miss for me. I know, right? Blasphemy. She won an Oscar, but whatever. I thought she was great in Monster. I thought she was really good. Maybe she wasn't my favorite part of Fury Road. My favorite part of Fury Road was just the world itself. But she was good in Fury Road. I thought she was really atrocious in trying to overacting, just screaming at the scenery.
But she knows what type of movie she's in.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. She's always kind of hit or miss for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But I think if she is related to Statham's character, I think by the time we get to Furious 10, it'll be like, who's the villain? Oh, I am the guy's brother's sister, former roommate, late cousin. And so
Twice removed.
It gets this one big crime family that just keeps getting more and more British or something. I love the idea of Helen Mirren becoming the villain, and she said she wants to do it. If she gets asked, she will be the villain in a Fast and Furious movie. So I'm just guessing they've either not finalized the deal or they've just not asked her, but that would be a match made in heaven. But Charlize Theron, great, and I look forward to seeing her more in these big campy villain roles, because I do think she excels because she's self-aware enough to get away with it.
Maybe also they're doing Walking Dead sort of casting. Like, you know how you mentioned, Trey, that in Walking Dead, if a new black character comes on, that means an old black character has to die. Well, Gal Gadot died, so they're like, well, that's one woman out. We need to bring another woman in.
Well, she's been dead for 2 movies or something like that. She died in 6.
Oh,
I think,
they all
and then
blur together now to me. I can't remember.
They're not good. 5 is the only good movie for me. The rest are just I don't like this. Everyone's like, 7's so much fun. I'm like, I don't care. Whatever. All right.
That's the one where
6
they
is
fight
the gold
a drone,
standard
isn't
for
it? That's the one where they fight a drone, the last one. Wasn't it?
6 is where they fight drones, yeah.
Okay.
6 is where they fight drones. You really don't... Have you seen 7? 7's where they drive from the building to building.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
And Tyrese is being the loud black guy, so it's funny. And the really...
They have a sword
incredible,
fight with wrenches, and they jump at each other in slow motion with the wrenches.
And he makes the street fall in or whatever, and then...
I need to watch this movie again.
Yeah, I don't know. And then there's
Fast
a really awesome trip. Go ahead.
Fast and the Furious has become kind of like Transformers ridiculous, but in a non-annoying way.
I think
But
it's
it's
pretty
so
annoying.
sincere about itself, because they're like, it's about family.
Yeah.
They do say that a lot.
Really, I never picked that up. They don't mention that nearly enough in those movies.
Well, I mean, when they're too busy drinking their Coronas, they don't have a time to mention all the family. That's important. Family and cars. I mean, but that's... I've hated on Fast and Furious enough. I've honestly stopped caring a long time ago about Fast and Furious. All right.
Watch the next movie make $2 billion and outgrow Star Wars.
Will not now. Let's not now. Trilbee, now those be fighting for it. Now you're opening a can of worms you do not want to open. By the way.
Well, what about Fast and Furious goes into space in the next one and they cross over?
That's what I'll see. That's what I'll.
It's only logical.
Only if they go back in time, because it's said a long time ago. But that's beyond the point.
Vin Diesel fighting Darth Vader, that'd work. Yeah.
Or belt.
And then when they find out that Luke and Leia are sisters, Vin Diesel's like, I know I love family, but I don't love it that much.
You see Luke Skywalker instead of Rey at the end of Force Awakens, it's a Vin Diesel walks up and it's just Paul Walker standing on the edge of the cliff
He comes back as a Force ghost, yeah.
Well, actually, while we're talking about Star Wars, have you seen that picture that Mark Hamill's tweeted of him on Rey's back?
I posted it on my Twitter and my Instagram.
How terrific is that? He's been so funny the past few weeks.
No, what is it?
It's essentially Yoda, the Yoda shot from episode 5 of Yoda on Luke's back, but in this time it's Luke on Rey's back, and it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Have you seen Oscar Isaac tweet as well? He tweeted like their workout regimes, like we're all training for the next movie, and it's John Boyega doing weights, and it's Daisy Ridley doing like push-ups and everything, and then it's just him just eating a chocolate bar or something.
Yeah, he's eating a bag of Doritos. He's just like, yeah, man, we're all training hard for our next movie. I'm like, my thought is either he's going to be in a pilot suit all day, so it doesn't really matter what he looks like, or he's going to die, or he's a goner in the opening act.
But it's so great that they're just having fun with the marketing in this. And my girlfriend's just walked in to bring me chocolate pudding. Yay!
Wonderful. Yeah, for those listening at home, the picture they sent me, it's it's Mark Hamill getting a piggyback from Rey. And Mark Hamill's like pointing over her shoulder, like, over there, Rey. And she's like having to run.
I've seen the memes already start.
It's not as creepy as I thought it would be. Honestly, I'd buy it.
See, it's not creepy because they're related. That's okay.
But the memes have already started, where there were memes saying it's a picture but captioned, over there is the Disney office where they pay YouTube critics to hate DC movies. The memes are starting. It only takes half an hour on the internet.
One meme I saw was just like it's Rey's face. It's like zooming in. It's like, is that a lightsaber, or is he just happy to see me? Like that's like I liked that one. Just zooming on her face.
If they were to do that in front of a green screen, that could be the new Shia LaBeouf sort of do it thing.
Yeah,
you know who runs inserting him everywhere? They could do that with this. Over there, Rey.
Okay, well, if we're talking about Star Wars, guys, the Rogue One trailer came out this week. Yeah, the trailer for Rogue One is out, and I won't lie, I'm not impressed. I'm not.
What? Really?
I'm not. Really? I'm not impressed.
Of all people, Trey.
Okay, now listen. I'm not saying the movie's going to suck. I think the movie's going to be incredible because A, I loved Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, which you did not, Bandit, and B, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I love kind of the classic look of Star Wars. But this just doesn't look that impressive to me so far.
Why am I always the middle guy? Because you love Godzilla, you hate Godzilla, and I'm like in the middle. it's like Star Wars. Like I'm like in between you on Star Wars. I'm in between you on Terminator. This is becoming a trend.
Bandit doesn't hate Star Wars. Bandit
loves Star Wars.
Yeah, he really enjoyed it.
But I think I'm like in between you both, because Bandit, you think it's a complete rip-off. Which you could maybe prove to science.
I think it's a beautiful homage. I think it's a beautiful homage, even though, granted, it is a remake, but I think it's a beautiful remake.
Actually,
there can be good remakes.
Trilbee, I don't think you've given your thoughts on the trailer yet on your channel or anything, so tell us, what did you think about it, Rogue One?
I did a quick Facebook post, but I'll go more in detail here because Movie Mania exclusive. I think this trailer's got me more excited for Rogue One than The Force Awakens did throughout the entire year of build-up. That's not because That's not because I was hating The Force Awakens or anything. But I just think that Rogue One is actually expanding the universe. Where I think Force Awakens. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's a fun blockbuster, but I think it was restrained by itself. It was so concerned with trying to please hardcore old-time fans and get away from the prequels that it didn't really become its own new
ultimately,
thing.
That was its job. Its job was to get people back on board.
I know, but it just feels like its job was... I feel like that should have been done by the marketing. The movie itself should have stood on its own. It just felt like a feature-length apology for the prequels, which I get. I enjoy it. But Rogue One feels like it's distancing it's expanding the universe. I love the tone of it. I don't like Gareth Edwards' films. I thought Monsters was pants. Godzilla is good for 10 minutes. But I think that with the story department of Lucasfilm sort of helping him and guiding him, he could do a really good job and bring the wars into Star Wars. Because this does feel like a war movie. And that shot of the AT-AT is probably one of the best shots I've seen.
It's AT-AT.
I abbreviated, Trey.
But what do you call an ATST? Do you call it an AT?
I call it an Astus.
You're the worst.
But
okay.
no, I like the look of this. The only thing I didn't like was Felicity Jones. And I love Felicity Jones. She's terrific, but it just feels like her character, she's the most rebellious person to ever rebel, and golly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I need to stop Bandit before Bandit gets started, because Bandit's about to get started, because Bandit...
It's like the rebellious orphan trope again, so...
Hello? I saw your video, and I think, you're so... Trilbee, I need you to be immediate. You're so wrong about everything. It's insane. She's definitely...
Me or Bandit?
I'm talking to Bandit, because
Okay.
I commented this on your video. Because you think, in your video you said that Ray was essentially being replicated again as Jane, or Jen Urso, whatever her name is. It's Jen.
Yeah. Well, the backstory seems pretty similar. You've been alone since you were 15, surviving. I'm like, yeah, that's Ray.
Well, yeah.
That's why I don't think that's really who she is.
If you want to go as bare bones as possible, sure. But I mean, we don't know Ray's full backstory. For all we know, Ray could have been, from what we perceive, she could have had previous training. She could have been. There's something else going on there besides just, she's been on this desert planet. But that's whatever. That's neither here nor there.
A sleeper agent.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I really, really hope that's not the case, because if that's the case, then we've called it 9. If that means we've called it 9 months in advance. Which in that case, it's like, well, then you haven't surprised us. I think honestly, because
to be fair, you could say anything and call anything 9 months in advance if you bandy about enough options.
But that was everyone's first thought. So I'm trying to like back when the Force Awakens teaser came out back in 2 years ago at this point, something like that. That first shot of Finn, going up as a stormtrooper, people are like, oh, he's not a stormtrooper, he's the hero, he's going to be the guy and a spy. And I'm just like, no, what if he's a stormtrooper? And and everyone's like, he can't be a stormtrooper, he's a good guy. I'm like, well, what if he is? And turns out he was a stormtrooper, and it was something that we haven't seen in Star Wars before. I don't know. I feel like
it was pretty obvious. Like
I think the trailer wanted you to know that.
Yeah. But it's pretty obvious if that's the case, because it's got that bit where, like, Forrest Whitaker's like, what will you become? And it shows her wearing a TIE Fighter outfit, looking kind of evil.
That's clever editing.
Yeah. So that's I'm saying, editing. We don't know. We'll have to...
The trailer's
even if we have called it...
Rookie.
But even if we have called it 9 months in advance, it doesn't matter. We're still going to enjoy it. I'm still going to enjoy it. I wonder though, if...
I think this movie's going to be incredible. I have another complaint, if I may.
Yeah,
because
go for it.
This everyone has been like, this trailer is amazing, it's the best thing ever at Star Wars. And coming from me, someone who's actually physically scarred myself by trying to do something based on Star Wars. Like I said, I burnt my hand building a Millennium Falcon for that trailer I did last summer. Star Wars is kind of my thing right now. So it's like, for me I have to sit back and say, did I enjoy this trailer? And I said no. My main issue is that it looks really cheap, but in like the worst way possible. It looked really cheap. Trilbee, did you want to say something?
No, but I think that obviously it's not going to have as big a budget as Episode 7 or 8, but it didn't look cheap to me. It actually looked pretty well polished. Obviously, you can tell when there are sound stages and stuff, but that's kind of the Star Wars 1970s, between the prequels and the original trilogy feel, I think.
Which is fine, you can do that, but I think Force Awakens, I think, had a great blend. When she's on Jakku, and she's, and she's driving by and you see a puppet pecking at something, or you see a thing like when BB-8's on the sand and you see that thing rise out of the sand, you're like, that looks great. It looks like it's actually there, and it looks like a puppet, or it looks like a puppet or a model. So when I see like a Star Destroyer that when the Death Star, like the Death Star having the dish put on it looks incredibly fake to me, and I see that Death Star, I'm like, that looks like a toy. That does not look like a model. It looks like a toy, which essentially a model is a toy, but there's a difference. And then that shot of the guy running, all the AT-ATs are there, and it's just like, I don't know, it looked like someone took the AT-ATs from Battlefront and just plopped them there with CG, which I'm sure that's what they did, and it doesn't look right to me. It looks off.
I get what you're saying. Really I think the Star Destroyer, the textures maybe need one more go around, but obviously we're 9 months away. It's this in terms of the effects.
They're still doing the special effects and changes in the movie, yeah.
Which is fine. I'm just telling you what I thought because of the trailer.
I know, it's just it's weird. I get what you mean. It's weird that I have to be the apologist for Star Wars. Normally, it's the other way around. I do.
This is surreal.
I'm sure I'm going to love this movie way more than you do, Ben. I'm calling it right now. I'm going to wholly enjoy this movie.
I'm more excited for this than Episode 8. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I wonder if maybe it's more of a generational thing, because like you sort of your first exposure to Star Wars was the prequels. Like my first exposure was the originals. Maybe because this plugs directly into the originals, that's why, like me, and I'm presuming Trilbee as well, is kind of more favourable. Perhaps it's a Star Wars generational thing. But I'm really sorry.
I am looking
because
I'm
I'm
looking forward to
looking forward
episode
to
8 a lot.
Because I'm super psyched for the Han Solo movie. Like, and a lot of people I know that aren't, but I'm so stoked for the Han Solo movie. And I'm really psyched. Like, when I first heard the plot of Rogue One, I'm like, you're doing a heist film set in Star Wars. That sounds great. And then I turn it and like, oh, but it's actually gonna be a war film. That sounds even better. And then I see the trailer, like, oh, that's what you're going for? I don't know. It looks. I don't like the look of it. I don't know. I'm sure Forrest Whitaker looks great though, as Morgan.
Trey, I absolutely get it, but in terms of like what I was saying earlier about Felicity Jones's character, I think when you have a trailer that's 9 months before the film is released and it's touting itself as a teaser, I think this is more basically saying this movie's happening, this is when it's happening, these are just some bits, and I think it will be expanded more in the final movie. And I think obviously you don't pass judgment at the moment, and I'm not saying you are, but I think that while Felicity Jones's character looks rather simplistic in the trailer, I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm going to hold off and wait for more footage. I'm excited for this film, and I'm looking forward to episode 8 a lot, because I think episode 7 was really holding itself back so it could set up a future universe and set up more movies, which I'm hoping episode 8 doesn't do as well. But I'm looking forward to the future of Star Wars a lot.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson's going to do
I didn't like
crazy
Looper that much.
Oh,
I'm that guy.
You're that guy. You are no Nick Mason. Okay. All right.
It's the same thing with Gareth Edwards though, with Ryan Johnson. I think that they're great visual directors, but they're really lacking in the storytelling department.
Is it the time travel stuff that bothers you? Because is it the time travel stuff that bothers you in Looper? Or is it just kind of like the movie doesn't flow well for you?
It's kind of it doesn't make a lot of sense. The characters I didn't think were too well defined. Visually, it was really well done, and I liked it. And I just think that once you get the Lucasfilm story team involved and the writers and the oversight, then they can create some really great work. I think they need that editorial oversight, which I think Looper was lacking.
I feel like the biggest problem with Force Awakens was the script and was the aspect of the story they were trying to tell, because they didn't do a heck of a lot of new things. They did they did one really new storyline, and that was the whole Finn thing. But I feel like Ryan Johnson, granted, Looper, the time travel doesn't make sense, but in the same way, time travel in a lot of movies don't make sense, and people give them a lot of pass. Like Back to the Future,
it should still stick to its. It should still stick to its own internal rules, and Looper constantly it's constantly inconsistent.
And I think they let you know that that's going to happen 10 minutes into the movie, though, or whenever he meets up with Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis is like, don't worry, don't think about it, don't worry about it. And so at that point, granted, it's the problems are still there, sure, but at that point I was just like, okay, so they know that the rules suck, and they're just going to try to tell a good movie no matter what happens. But I see what you're trying to get at there.
Yeah, but I'm still looking forward to the future of Star Wars a lot, and I think that Episode 7 laid great foundations. And also, happy birthday, Daisy Ridley. It's her birthday.
Oh, really?
Happy birthday, Daisy Ridley. Maybe that's why Mark Hamill's like, for your birthday, you get a piggyback ride.
No, you get the honor of giving me a piggyback ride.
Yeah, right.
Breaking news.
Yep.
Doctor Strange trailer is debuting next week. In 2 days.
Yeah,
2 days.
Excellent.
I just saw like 10 people tweet about it, so I was assuming it happened like 5 minutes ago. Maybe like everyone is just slow.
No, man, you're good, Trilbee. I knew. That's why I was excited to talk about it next week. What do you think? I forgot to mention the set pictures that came out. Did you guys see those? Where it's like
Photoshop is wonderful.
Where they're like jumping around and stuff. People are like, "It looks terrible." I'm like, "It's a movie. Movies like that usually look terrible before you put all the post in there, But whatever. Okay. All right, guys.
I've seen. There you go.
All right. Well, then I think that's. Good job. We got the movie news in less than an hour. Congratulations, guys. All right, Trilbee, Bandit, did we have some homework?
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment. You're going to go out, you're going to start a fight with a total stranger. You're going to start a fight, and you're going to lose.
All right, guys, so this is the homework section in which, we talk about the things that we've seen and the things that we've done and whatnot. Trilbee, what's your homework?
My homework? Well, I saw Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah.
I just got back from seeing it. And it's such an agreeable and good time of a film. Even though it's a British Olympian, we got it like 2 weeks after America, which makes no sense. No sense.
We haven't got it here yet, I don't think. So could you just, before you do your non-spoilerish review, could you just give us a breakdown of like what the story is and who Eddie the Eagle is?
Okay, well, Eddie the Eagle Edwards was a Olympic ski jumper in the late 1980s. He qualified for the 80s Olympics on the British Olympics team because he was basically the only person. They had not had a ski jumper for like 60, 70 years, so he basically qualified by default. And he was short-sighted. He had these really thick glasses on. He had like a permanently broken jaw, which, because he spent his entire childhood wanting to be an Olympian. He didn't care what it was in. He just wanted to be an Olympian. Even if he came last, it didn't matter to him. He just wanted to be there. And he tries to ski jump. He's not very good at it. And he gets Hugh Jackman, Australia's national treasure, to train him in ski jumping. And they make their way to the Olympics.
This guy did not kill himself. Because I remember people talked about this guy because like he couldn't even see and he doesn't know how to ski either. And he's just plummeting down this hill and everyone's like, oh God, please don't die.
He's practically blind when he's going down the ramp because of his vision, which is kind of petrifying. But it's such a... The movie itself, it comes from Matthew Vaughn's production company, Marv, and it's from a first-time director. But it's really, really... And it's hard to be angry at it. It just has you smiling from beginning to end. Your eyes are just always welling up because you feel such a great attachment to these characters. Taron Egerton is not a one-hit wonder. With this and Kingsman, he's the real deal. It reminds me when Trumbo came out and everyone was like, Bryan Cranston's so over the top and it's not realistic. But if you look at Trumbo interviews with the real guy, you'll know he is that bombastic and that big. And when you look at interviews with Eddie Edwards, you'll realize that he really is that type of caricature character, and Taron Egerton does a great job at portraying that. Hugh Jackman's character, while very entertaining, and you actually get to see Hugh Jackman pull a sex face for about 30 seconds. Oh, wow. I never thought I'd see that in this film.
Do we?
A funny scene.
Well, I have to see it.
It's such a funny scene, and I didn't expect that at all, but I'm personally glad it happened. But while he's really good in the film, his entire character's like fictional. He's not based off of any person. He's a fictional character for the movie. And only about 5 or 10% of the actual movie is based on real events, which kind of takes the wind out of the movie's sails once you realize that, but it's still really agreeable, a lot of fun. Christopher Walken...
Oftentimes true story movies, because Steve Jobs had a lot of this what's real and what's not. I mean, like, it gets to a point where you just kind of have to say, well, is the movie I'm watching good, whether the stuff is like, maybe a lot of Steve Jobs was fake, but it's like, it's a great movie nonetheless.
Yeah, and Eddie the Eagle is a real... I don't know if it's great, but it's a great time, if that makes sense. It's really fun, it's harmless, it's really agreeable. And I know that fun does not a great movie make, but you can kind of tell that it's
very
slightly
anti-fun when it comes to reviewing movies.
That's it's just I'm picky about it.
No, it is funny. The characters are very endearing. The story, it's basically like a fairy tale, even if a lot of it is fictional. The foundations are all real, and the last 15-20 minutes are mostly based on the real Olympic events. But it's got a great message at its heart. The performances are really, really solid. And Taron Egerton he's the real deal. He is a born star. Christopher Walken as a small...
Han Solo.
That would be great. That would be really good, I think. He really does go for it in this film. Christopher Walken's got a small, walk-on cameo. There's a who's who of British talent in small cameos, like Jim Broadbent and Mark Benton, Tim McInerney. It is just a really good British biopic, and I had a lot of fun with it. And my screening was just laughing the whole time, and they were rooting for Eddie. You can tell that it's a low-budget production, so the green screen work is either really good or really, really bad. And you can think, and you get the sense that the camera work is trying a bit too hard to be dynamic. But I did enjoy it a lot, and it had a really cool 80s era synth soundtrack, which I really appreciated. It's just a lot of fun, and if you want a good time at the movies, it's hard to find a movie that will be as enjoyable or as uplifting as Eddie the Eagle in 2016.
Yeah.
Hello,
really looking forward to
Batman
seeing
v
it,
Superman.
Batman v Superman was a rip-roaring laugh.
Yeah, man, it's so much fun. Screw the critics. It's such a fun movie. That's all that matters, is that I had a fun time.
Not to get off Eddie the Eagle too much, but I thought I'd tell you, Trey, because you remember you said that your dad went and saw Batman v Superman and said it was boring. My mum went and saw Batman v Superman, and she said it was really boring. And she said that she felt like she wanted to walk out. The only reason she didn't is because she wanted to see Wonder Woman, and she thought Wonder Woman was the best part in the movie. But anyway, but I want to say,
Bandit, we all know that your parents have been paid by Disney to hate the movie. It only makes sense. And Trey, you have been paid by Warner Brothers to like the movie.
That's right.
Yeah,
everyone's paying everyone.
Of course.
I mean, with Eddie the
with
Eagle,
my
I
Batman
remember.
dogs,
But with Eddie the Eagle, there's been a couple of guys sort of like him that have gotten into the Olympics because they're the only one from their country in a certain category. There was a guy called Eric the Eel, who was from some country in Africa, I can't remember which one, but he was the only guy in his country who went for this swimming team. And he could barely even swim, this guy. So they didn't even put him in the proper race. So he just sort of had one race by himself because some weird rule thing. And he just had to swim up and back again. And everyone was cheering so loudly. But this guy looked like he was going to drown coming back.
You know what year this was?
Swim.
Like, was it 70s, 80s, or?
Well, I know Cool Runnings took place in the same time as this one, right? Like, Cool Runnings was the 80s.
There is a reference to Cool Runnings.
Really?
Or what happens that Eddie does an Olympic jump and everyone's like, well, he's a great underdog and everybody's rooting for him. And there's also this Jamaican bobsledding team. And it's so because Cool Runnings is based on a true story, and it was the same Olympics in Calgary, Canada.
As Eddie.
Yeah,
it was the same Olympic. It was a great year for uplifting underdog Olympic stories, apparently.
Well, in Australia,
why it took 20 more years to make the movie? I don't know why.
Australia has a gold medal ice skater, and he won the gold medal because everybody else in the whole race crashed, and he was the only one. And he just skated all the way around by himself.
All that Mad Max training is why, he's used to being used to ducking, like people are falling over and crashing, and he's used to like jumping over things and skating up the walls and flamethrowing guitars and whatnot. Yeah, man, it's all that.
No, I hear that those are very native to Australia.
Yes, of course. Yes,
as soon as Bandit's done with this podcast, he's going to get in his dirt car and just race around.
Next to with a kangaroo by his side and a wallaby in his jacket. Yes, he's just gonna. Yeah, I don't even know what a wallaby is. I hope it's not a racial slur, because otherwise it'll be really big...
koala ate my baby. More stereotypes.
Bandit hates that.
Oh gosh.
That's a true story. That dingo stole the baby.
May I ask what happened to the baby? Did he eat it, or no one found it, or what's going on?
Yeah, it was never seen again. But the mum went to prison for murder because everyone's like, "You murdered your baby," and she's like, "No, a dingo took it out of the tent when we were camping." Everyone's like, "That's so stupid."
She's there. She's just like, "A dingo took my baby," and everyone's just like, "You're going to jail. You're gonna go to life."
But she went to prison for a long time.
You just got out of it. They found a baby's carcass just in a wolf den or a dingo den or whatever. Yeah.
Actually, there was this good episode of Modern Family where they come to Australia, and the mum is like working on her laptop, and she's like, "This project is my baby," and then like this dingo runs in and grabs the computer and runs out. And I was like, "Okay, that's a good one."
Yeah.
No,
right,
yes, Eddie the Eagle.
So Eddie the Eagle sounds really good.
What would you give it? What would you give it out of 10, Trilbee?
Maybe a 7 or an 8. I want to research the true story a little bit more before I do my write-up, but I do highly recommend it a lot. Okay. And apparently I'm being paid to like it.
Do you ever let the true story affect how you look at the movie?
I like to know about it, because I think that they should try and stay to the true events, and if they do change it, it needs to be in service of the story and the themes and what it's trying to do. Like, if they make changes completely unnecessarily, or they make redundant changes, I think it's kind of pointless. But it is a case-by-case basis. With Eddie the Eagle, I don't mind that only like 5% of the story is true, because the groundwork is there, and it's really solid, and it's just... it works in its own context, but don't take it as a gospel of history.
Okay. People are screaming. What is going on? Look, people are screaming outside my. I'm in my bedroom right now. Just oh my god. Hello, sister. Naked? No, I'm not naked. I'm recording a podcast.
Hi, Trey, sister, whoever you are. But that happened.
Okay. Well, my homework. I think Trey might. Are you still there, Trey? Okay. Trey,
I'm here. I muted my mic.
All right. Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, well, my homework. I'm glad you're here, Trilbee, because you gave me a homework assignment, and you gave Trey a homework assignment a long time ago to see The Gift. And I saw it ages ago, but I've been waiting for you to be back on the show so I can talk about it. Trey, have you seen The Gift?
Of course not.
One job.
It's
been weeks, man. All right.
God no. God no. I still haven't finished Duel. God no.
When was the last time you actually did a homework assignment? Shame on you, Trey. Shame on you.
I watched a lot of Daredevil, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No, but yeah, I saw it, Trilbee. It was really, really good. I didn't know going into it that God, see, it's been so long since I've seen it. But I didn't know going into it that it was actually written and directed by the guy who plays the creepy stalker in it, who's an Aussie actor. I should know his name, but I don't for some reason.
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton.
Owen Lars. Owen Lars, yeah.
Yeah, but I should say for our listeners, The Gift, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's kind of a movie that sort of keeps you guessing. When it starts out, you're like, okay, this is going to be a stalker kind of movie of this weird Joel Edgerton guy stalking this couple. But then as the story sort of unfolds and you begin to see like some of the background that like his character knows the other guy from school, and as it unfolds, it sort of changes everything about the way you see everything in the movie. And it's really, really good. It's like, I think the message they were trying to get across is like, just be careful how you treat people, because it might have a bigger impact on them, and it might come back and bite you in ways that you don't expect.
And that words have power.
Yeah, words have power. That's right. So I don't know. I guess I can probably spoil it, can't I?
Well, Trey's not watched it yet.
Yeah.
Because
we
brought it up.
Watch it. It's fine.
Well done.
Fine. Well done.
Well, I brought it up when we were talking about ambiguous movie endings. And I love the ambiguous ending of The Gift, because it doesn't matter how that mystery plays out, because it's all about the suggestion. Words have power.
Yeah, well, I might as well say. It turns out that Joel Edgerton's character, when he was a kid, the other dude like made up a story about, oh, he's gay, he was with this guy in a car, and it sort of like took off and went around school, and it basically like ruined this guy's whole life. So now when he sort of meets him as an adult, he's sort of stalked him and stalked his wife, and there's this bit where his wife, like, because of this medication, sort of passes out in the house, and it's kind of implied that Joel Edgerton's character did something to her when she was unconscious. So then later on, when she's actually pregnant, he's like, haha, you'll never know if that's your baby or if it's actually mine. And he's like, yeah, you'd like me to just say that nothing happened, but you wouldn't do that for me, so I'm not going to do it for you. And the guy's like, looking at the baby like, is it mine? And I'm thinking,
you need to recreate movies like that. Like, arg, is it my baby?
But I was like,
this chick was taking a shower, and this guy came in, and she was just like, "Oh God, no!" And the chocolate syrup fell down the drain. Yeah, okay, keep going.
It's a good ending, but I was like, yeah, ambiguous ending. But the guy could just get a DNA test to find out if that's his kid or not. It's not that hard, they just get a swab of saliva in the mouth, and you can take it. A lot of guys do that discreetly. Exactly, yeah. But a lot of guys a lot of guys discreetly do that with their kids to just make sure they are theirs and their wife hasn't been doing something. So I'm sure it wouldn't it wouldn't be that
I'd be so mad if I found out that wasn't my kid. I'm like, I've been raising you I've been keeping you healthy for 9 months, so where you can pop this thing out and it's not even mine. Be so mad.
Well, you're 16. You shouldn't have to worry about that for a while.
God no. Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
But while we're talking about The Gift, real quick, what did you think of Jason Bateman? Because I thought he was stellar in this film.
As the bully. Yeah, the guy who turns out to be the bully. Yeah, he was great, wasn't he? Because I've always seen him before where he's just like... well, he's kind of like in comedies and stuff like that. I've never really seen him play this kind of character before, and it works so well, because like, at first I'm like... When you think it's going to be like the Stalker movie, I'm like, I wonder how this guy's going to handle it, and he comes out pretty forcefully in dealing with it. And at the time I'm like, I guess he kind of had to do that to like sort of shut this situation down. But then as it unfolds, like you're seeing cracks that, this guy is a bully and the stuff that he does. And yeah, it was like, I really liked that conversation where he had with his wife, where his wife sort of uncovers the whole reason as to why Joel Edgerton doesn't like him and all this. And she's like, you really affected this guy's life. And he's like, I don't care, basically.
Yeah, and that's my favourite scene of the movie. And
mine too,
it's a really good screenplay, because in that scene, they don't draw attention to it, but it kind of implies that that Jason Bateman's dad was a bully to him, and that sort of passed on to him. That's why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
And the way he rationalizes it to himself, because he doesn't see himself as the victim. Often bullies don't see themselves as the victim, and he says like it's just him wanting to be stuck because he wants to be stuck. And it's such a terrific scene, and the cast are awesome, and I want to see more of Jason Bateman doing dramatic stuff.
Yeah, totally. So that was The Gift. Really good. Highly recommended, but we've already spoiled it, I guess.
See
it's
it
been
again.
out long enough, so it's fine.
Yeah, it just came on UK
you
Netflix.
You are the father. Sorry, I had to.
Woo! What's the name of Jason Bateman's character in Zootropolis, Zootopia?
Nick
Fox.
Wilde.
The Fox.
Nick Wilde, you are the Fox Daddy. Crossover. It's all connected.
It's like a fox pops out and Jason Bateman's like, what did you do? And it's like, oh, is the baby mine? It's just like this fox, just like this old fox guy. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's yours. Okay.
In The Gift, Joel Edgerton's character goes around the house in a monkey costume, so
That's right,
it is Zootopia.
Dude, that was really disturbing when you see him with that monkey mask. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's clear that
the guy makes a brief comment that he's kind of got a weird phobia of monkeys. He just doesn't like them. So when he breaks into his house, he's wearing a monkey mask, and you're like, ooh, that's...
Yeah,
that reminds me of this Netflix movie that came. Oh, this movie that was released in limited theaters, but it's on Netflix now. It's called Creep, and I forgot who's in it. But it's a found footage movie. Trilbee, you're gonna hate this, but it's quite good. It's two guys and just what they do and how it's okay. It's about this guy, and he takes this offer to film the last few days of this dad's life because he apparently has cancer. He's going to die soon, so he wants to film a kind of a diary for his kid whenever he goes. And so the guy is just like, our main character's like, yeah, I'll film it for you. I'll get paid and whatnot. And the guy that's like dying of cancer, he's kind of creepy. He was a little unsettling, but like some people are just weird like that. And I won't give too much away, but it's like as things start to unfold, you understand what really is going on. And even though you could probably see what's going on coming, the way they do it is so creepy and weird.
What's it
You're just
called?
like, Creep. It's on
okay.
it's on Netflix, and it's really good. And I remember I watched and I got really shaken up by it. And it's found footage show, and I think you'll really enjoy because it doesn't do the usual found footage tropes. It's really good. I think Bandit, you might like it too, since you're always ragging how you don't like to watch horror movies. It's slow, but it has a great slow burn to it, and I really enjoyed it.
Right,
but whatever.
I'll actually write it down. I'll check it out. So it's on Netflix, yeah?
It was a month ago, so I don't know. They take stuff down all the time, but if you can't find it, don't seek it out. But it's quite good. It's quite good. I remember I got a recommendation from a podcast like a year ago, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out, and I caught it, and it was really good. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I love that. Sorry, just a random thought. Okay, what would you give The Gift out of 10, Bandit?
I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. No, I just wouldn't go higher just because, there's some just problems with the plot at the end where I was like, well, it sort of builds to this dilemma, but then with the dilemma again, I was like, we'll just get a DNA test. It's not you're not going to have to live
I feel like
in
because you've said this before, you've said this before of like, you're a writer, and so whenever you hear a plot twist in a movie or a plot hole, you're just like, well, the only reason that you think about it as a plot hole is because you can think of like 6 different ways that you can just resolve this issue like that. So
Yeah.
so I always take that. I always hate it when you find like holes in script, like because he's right. So yeah.
But I also thought as well, because like it builds to this bit at the end where like the couple sort of break up and all that, and like the bully guy doesn't really like it, obviously, but from what we know of that guy, up at that point, I'd be like, he wouldn't really care that much. He'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. But, yeah, that's why I give it 7 out of 10, not anything higher, just because I thought, well, that bully character, he'd just move on and find a new girl. He wouldn't dwell on, oh, what have I done wrong with my wife, blah, blah. He wouldn't care.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Anyway.
All right. I think so. That was the gift. That was the homework section, guys. All right. So let's move into our patriotic feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation.
America! Oh yeah! Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, America! Captain America, the first Avenger.
Yes,
guys,
or as it's known in Russia, the first Avenger, another war.
What?
That's what it's called in Russia.
That's
that
a
doesn't even
classy
make sense. They don't want to use the word American in a title in Russia.
I know they called Winter Soldier the Return of the First Avenger in some countries.
Really?
So I don't know. Yeah, we'll just call it Captain America at this point. Anyways, but Captain America the First Avenger. For you guys that don't know, we're kind of working our way up to Civil War because in a couple of weeks we'll do Winter Soldier, and then Civil War will be after that. I guess in the same way we did it for Dark Knight Trilogy and Man of Steel. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it today, so I finished it like 3 or 4 hours ago. I really enjoyed this movie.
It's rewatched really it good. Last night. It's a really good movie, isn't it?
Really good. Maybe it's my 11-year-old brain that just saw the last Harry Potter, so he was bored when he went and saw this movie. But I don't know. I hadn't seen it since I saw it in the theater, so going back to watch it 5-6 years later, it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
what about you, Trilbee? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No,
out
sorry.
of the 12 films in the MCU, I think this is the second weakest, but it's still good.
Yeah.
I like it. I think the first 45-50 minutes, nearly perfect. I love the first hour of this film.
Me too.
It's when he becomes Captain America and the war story starts, I think it becomes a bit generic, but I still like it. I think it's a really good film, and Chris Evans is possibly Marvel's MVP. And nobody really paid attention at the time.
Yeah, at this point, he's really incredible. Like, when you see, going back to that line, I can do this all day. He's getting beat up in the alley, and I think, my whole thing with this movie that really got to me is that it just reminded me of like an old movie. It was made, it was shot, and everything just looks old. The art direction and production design of this movie is great. So we'll get to some of the weak CGI later, but but this movie, it looks like an old movie. It looks like, in many ways, this is the modern Indiana Jones. Like if you want to show a kid a movie about the 1940s, about a good guy fighting Nazis, instead, if you don't want to show him Raiders, show him this movie. Well, it's really
Red
good.
Skull does actually have that line of, "And the Fuhrer digs for trinkets in the desert."
Exactly. I was like, this is. Yeah, it's like, so it's straight up this Indiana Jones on steroids, essentially. Because it gets a little. Yeah,
that's why director Joe Johnston is such a perfect choice, because he was an art director for Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom.
Oh.
Yeah, this is right up his alley. He does,
and he directed The Rocketeer, which is like a spiritual.
Wow, really? Wow, he did The Rocketeer.
He did
He did Jumanji. He did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Jurassic Park 3, but we don't talk about Jurassic Park 3.
And he also invented Boba Fett. Whatever. That's whatever. That's beyond the point. That's just. Yeah. So
well, I think
he has a pretty prestigious career.
We mentioned this before we started recording, but when I was watching it, I was like, this is a good, like, Friday night kind of movie. Like, at the end of the week, you're just sort of flicking around channels, and you could come across this, and you watch it, and you'd be like, yeah, that's really good. That's basically what Captain America is. So I agree with you, Trilby, that it's probably one of the weaker ones of Marvel, but it's still really good. It's one of those Friday night kind of movies. And I got to say, I remember when this was announced, and because it came out in 2007, I think, or 2009,
2011.
11.
Yeah, I was gonna say it came out. It came out like 9 months before the Avengers did, because that post credit scene is beautiful. We'll get to that later.
Well, I do remember that when it came out, though, there was a lot of at the time, like in the political spectrum, there was a lot of anti-American sentiment because of the wars and all that stuff. So I did think I was like, this is going to be a little bit difficult for them to market Captain America at this time. With so much anti-American, which is probably partly why Russia named it the way it did. But I think they actually handled it really well, because they didn't compromise who Captain America is, but at the same time they didn't beat non-American audiences over the head of like, hey, America's so much better than everyone else, which is what which happened. The 90s was all about that, and it was so annoying. But they sort of defused that by they used it as that whole montage where he's doing the propaganda stuff as Captain America. And
they play on how ridiculous that the whole Captain America propaganda. Like, you see they recreate in live action the shot of him punching Hitler, but they do it as a stage show. And so when you see kids reading the comic from the 1940s of socking old Hitler in the jaw, and then they do the bait and switch of where he's like, how when you see when he says that line. And it's out there in the real war, and everyone just starts booing him because you're not a real soldier. You have no idea what war is, and I love that.
Bring the girls back.
Yeah, it's a great take on that.
By the way, I love the bit when he does do in the stage show when he punches Hitler, and you can see he's very clearly like about a foot away from actually touching the guy.
Yeah, and it was at the special effect. Yeah,
and it's got that drum as he goes and punches him.
That sequence is just edited perfectly, and this was the year in 2011 when I really started questioning why the Oscars don't nominate these type of films, because I think Star Spangled Man should have been a Best Original Song nominee. I think they should have got Best Makeup for Red Skull alone. Doesn't it? Yeah. It does. It's a terrific production. I love the feel of the film. It is an old-fashioned adventure movie, and I think that's why Joe Johnston's such a terrific choice, and Chris Evans just so wholeheartedly embodies that ideal.
Yeah.
I think.
And what a fantastic CGI job of putting his face on like that. Wasn't it a 12-year-old kid that they put his body on?
It's flawless. It's flawless.
That might be where the CG for me is that's the highest claim. Pretty much everything else in this movie, the effects, I don't know what it is with 2011 in special effects, but those special effects do not hold up in 2011. If you go back and watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes, you're like, those monkey effects don't hold up very well. If you go back and watch Bloody X-Men First Class, you're like, oh, that doesn't hold up very well. You go back and watch Thor, oh, that doesn't hold up. You go back and watch Harry Potter, you're like, oh, that doesn't hold up very well. And the same thing with this movie, except for when he's, Steve Rogers, pre-lab rat, Steve Rogers is, when he's the plane looks really fake, except with the shot where he's about to crash into the lake or whatever, the ocean, that looked cool. But even the Red Skull at times, when Hugo Weaving has you can tell his face is starting to peel off when he gets punched in the face. I'm like, that looks really fake. And I don't know if there's something about, and maybe that was kind of the point, but I don't know, there's something when he is Red Skull, the makeup to a certain extent is good. I think the makeup looks better when he's more in the shadows, kind of when he's on the plane.
I love that.
Yeah, but that introduction to Red Skull when they've got that painter and there's just all the red paint everywhere and he's in the shadow.
That was great.
Really, it's I love the first hour of this film.
Yeah,
I love it.
Doctor, what do you think? He's like, a masterpiece or whatever he says. I'm like, oh yeah, great. I was like, hey.
I also really liked the introduction of Red Skull, or Schmidt, before he takes off the mask thing, in that church, because it sort of sets up really quickly that this guy's, he's obviously strong because he pushes the thing off that 4 guys are having trouble to lift, but also he's it shows that he's really smart, because he's immediately, the guy's there's no such thing, it's not here. He's like, then why'd you go to so much trouble to conceal it? And then he finds in the coffin, he finds the fake Tesseract, and he immediately spots that it's a fake one and smashes it. And I'm like, ooh, this guy's smart. So I think that was a really great intro for Red Skull.
It's straight out of Indiana Jones. Like, like in Raiders when they're in the bar or whatever, and he can tell there's something up, that one guy in the glasses, I forgot the guy's name, and so when this guy walks in, it's like there's something wrong. I'm like, this is essentially Indiana Jones, which is why, go back to my point of everyone, if you're, this is Indiana Jones 4. This should be, yeah.
Yeah.
I did, I noticed a couple little things as well. Like, I wondered when there's the bit where Howard Stark, he comes at the beginning of the movie, Howard Stark comes in and he's like, in the future, the cars won't even need to touch the ground. And he tries to make the hover car and it falls down. And I thought, I wonder if that's like supposed to be a precursor to the hover, the helicarrier. But that's not really a hover. That's, got propeller things. Do you reckon it was?
Well, it's the same. Or? Well, it's the same car that Coulson flies in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't it? But at least from the looks of it, like the same kind of...
course.
So it looks like the same car that Coulson drives in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Of course, actually, that makes sense, because he's kind of got that... he loves that time period, because he's got all the Captain America playing cards, so he would want to drive a car from then.
Well, there's a theory that, you see a kid in the street with the shield, and his mom yells out, Phil. And there's a theory that's Phil Coulson. I'm like, that math doesn't add up. But maybe he's a lot older. I don't know. Look, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is weird. So, yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be Coulson's dad or granddad or something at least.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my thing, right? Bucky. After going back and watching this movie again, my biggest issue with the film is essentially it's the relationship between Cap and Bucky. I do not see friendship. I see, hey, we're friends. We're best friends, aren't we? Yeah, we're totally best friends. You're the best. Well, you're the best too. We're best friends. I never once saw like every other relationship. I bought the Howard Stark kind of the weird tech guy relationship they had with everybody. I bought the relationship that was the kind of boss and like almost like paternal relationship between Tommy Lee Jones, who's great, and Peggy Carter. And I especially love the romance of Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers, because right from the get-go, she doesn't like him because of his looks. He likes her because he's not like all the other men in the world, and it's just like, and that's great, but I didn't buy the whole Bucky thing at all.
I think that the weak point in the second half is really the relationship between Captain America and the Howling Commandos. Like, none of them are really well defined. I only remember Dum Dum Dugan because of his hat.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is
the guy from Wolf of Wall Street, he was great. the Asian guy from Wolf of Wall Street is in this movie. He plays the Asian guy in the. Well, so like now I see that guy like when he's in an interrogation room with Wall Street. It's like, you want to first these donuts? How many of these donuts? Anyways,
well,
go back.
I did find it funny that the Howling Commandos were very multinational, and I thought this feels a little bit like Pacific Rim. Like Pacific Rim, they got a robot from every country that they want to get a lot of box office in, and like the Howling Commandos, you got the American guy, you got the British guy, you got the French guy, you got the black guy who's also French, and he speaks French and German for some reason. You got the Japanese-American guy. It's like, are we forgetting that America actually put all the Japanese in a concentration camps after Pearl Harbor? Yep, we are.
Yeah,
okay,
I've always wanted to see a movie about the Japanese concentration camps. I don't know if there's actually one out there, but I've always wanted to see one. Like, just like, I'm so ready for everyone just to realize that was a thing. People always forget that we were not great people in the war either. We dropped a nuke on millions of civilians. Anyways,
go and watch The Railway Man. It's got Colin Firth and Nicole Kidman, and it's based off a book. Colin Firth plays a survivor in like a concentration camp because Japan took prisoners of war and things like that. So obviously it's the other way around, but that is actually that's a good history lesson.
The movie Unbroken is essentially about that. The guy going through those kind of camps. And I wish it was done a lot better because when they're out in the water, it's really well done. But anyways, Captain America.
But yeah, he had a very weird sort of multinational crew. And Trilbee, did you like the British guy? Cheerio, chaps! He literally talks like that.
No, that is Captain America Justice.
I was going to say, got to get Captain America nice and cozy here tonight, yes.
And if I'm not mistaken,
the Howling Commandos.
He was the only one drinking tea at the bar. Everyone else had a beer.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, He's got his cup of tea. Yeah.
I so hope that they do a Captain Britain movie, but they really make him British. Like, come on, Avengers, let's go get some tea and hit old Red Skull in the jaw. Something just really...
Speaking of Red Skull, they need to bring him back. That needs to be a thing. Please, like, Red Skull needs to... Red Skull, for me, like, Loki's great, but Loki really got better as the Avengers movies went along in Thor 2. Red Skull was great from the get-go. You can tell, like, he doesn't have much depth to him, per se, but he's just, like, so despicable and evil.
It's really amazing that they haven't at least hinted of him coming back, because he very clearly does get shot into space at the end, rewatching it. Yeah. He doesn't get vaporized or anything. He definitely
I thought that
gets
Robert
transported.
Redford in Winter Soldier would turn out to be the Red Skull, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because we know that Hugo Weaving is under contract for more Marvel films, but he said he's been very vocal. He doesn't want to do any more big genre films, but he'll come back if Marvel ask him to. But
does three Hobbit movies? All right.
Yeah. Don't. Does like 4 Transformers films.
Maybe they're saving him for like. Maybe if they're going to do another Captain America, like after Civil War, we don't know. Cause
I'm down for a like him being a villain of Phase 4, because like once they get Thanos out of the way, just have him be like a Phase 4 villain. You know, like say like he's back in the Avengers. Like say like when Thanos is busy doing this Thanos stuff, I can do it myself, whatever. Like what he manages to do is somehow puts the Red Skull back to Earth, and now the Avengers have to fight the Red. I'm for that movie.
Yeah,
well, there was a question on the Movie Mania Facebook page from, I can't remember who, let me look it up, from Dean Jones asking if we think that Red Skull will appear in future MCU movies. And I've got a theory about this because so many Marvel villains have been killed or dispatched by the Infinity Stones, like Ultron, Malekith, Red Skull. And I'm thinking that maybe if Thanos could bring them back, that for Infinity War, so that there's more than one villain.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
No,
I think that
the door's there. The door's open.
I'm sorry.
Trade
I don't mean to crap on your idea right away.
I think that's kind of genius. Because many of the villains have been killed by the gems, and if Thanos is bringing all the gems together, he could, in theory, just teleport them all into one place and say, "Here, everyone fight all your villains again."
Well, then you've just cured death twice in the MCU, and I'm not a big fan of that. Like they've already done it once.
Marvel zombies.
No, but but Marvel movies are always about like killing people. Like, oh, but they weren't actually dead. They do it in like every movie. Like it's not. They do it in like they do it to they do it like in every movie. So except maybe Ant-Man. But then again, they hint that Michael Douglas' wife, Ank's wife, isn't dead. So it's like, well, I'm sick of them doing it in every movie.
Can't even die off screen anymore.
Exactly, that's my point. So if and they're already bringing them back. So if you're bringing your villains back, it's like, why would you? It's they've already set a bad precedent, and they need to make death something that can seem permanent in this universe. Otherwise, as this universe goes on, the stakes are going to get lower and lower and lower. Because even though Civil War looks great, I guarantee you, if Cap dies in Civil War, he'll be brought back by the time. He'll be brought back by the end of the credits.
Yeah,
because
I do agree with you that they need to make they do need to make death actually mean something in this universe. But
yeah, and they're just going to kill him off again.
Idea, Trilbee.
Well, Trey, like I said in the podcast that me and you did when Bandit slept in, just going to drop you in there, Bandit. I think that Cap will die at the end of Civil War, and Thor Ragnarok is about Thor and Hulk going into like the afterlife to try and get him back.
That's a brilliant idea, though. That's how you do it. Like, but I just for Thanos just to be like, well, I have these Infinity Gems, and I will use them to bring. I know why he sounds like Darkseid all of a sudden. He's like, and I will use them to bring him back to life. And it's like, well, no, because they're just gonna kill him off again. So what's the point of having all these actors come back other than just? So no, if you're gonna bring Red Skull back just to kill him, don't do that. Because Red Skull.
I just realized that Stanley Tucci's character in this is the only like MCU character to die and stay dead. Even Toby Jones couldn't die. He came back as a computer.
Didn't Peggy Carter's dead, didn't she? Peggy Carter died in Soldier, yeah.
Hey, watch Civil War. Peggy Carter's
right. I'm cool with the music, the time chip. I'm so bloody hypocritical here because I honestly want to see Haley Atwell in the modern MCU because she's so awesome as Peggy Carter. Like even when we first meet her in this movie, you know, when she shoots the shield, and she's great in her own TV show. She was really great in Ant-Man for the brief cameo she had. She's a staple of the MCU that just like when she pops up, it's like she's so much fun to watch, and she's gorgeous.
About her character. Like, because I like the romance between her and Captain America as well, but do you think it was really necessary to have that bit where Captain America makes out with the chick from Game of Thrones and
I was
she
about
comes
to say,
around?
no.
Natalie Dormer.
Yeah. That's right.
Talk about it. She has the perfect smirk face. I wonder if she just gets paid to make that face all day. I don't know.
Yeah, but that was a bit where I was like,
scene.
you didn't really need that.
I think it's a great scene for Steve Rogers' character to show that he's still kind of down to earth, even though he's got this body that women would kill for.
Yeah.
But but in terms of making it be like a crowbar between him and Peggy Carter, I think it's a bit forced.
Yeah. And it goes nowhere. Like she gets over it pretty quickly. Like at least in terms of the movie, like she's not like mad at him for the rest of the movie. I mean, like she's mad at him for like 5 more minutes, and then we're talking about fondue, which is great. Which is another great scene with him and Howard Stark. It's like fondue's just bread and cheese, man. It's like fondue's just bread and cheese. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, man. I love that.
I love Dominic Cooper in this.
Yeah, he's really good as Howard Stark. Yeah.
I got to say, I was genuinely surprised that they didn't in this have a bit where like Howard Stark includes like some kind of magnet on his belt or something, so he's like, see, now when you throw your shield it'll still come back to you. It wasn't until Age of Ultron that they actually put in something like that, and I was I just figured that they do something like that, because otherwise it's like, yeah, how does he always manage to get the shield to bounce
I just ignore it. Like every time like he drops shield, I'm like, oh yeah, because like if he drops that shield once, it's gone forever. Yeah. It's like it's like when he drops it in Age of Ultron or whatever, and like they have to get Scarlett Johansson, they have to get Black Widow to pick it up. It's like because he drops that thing all the time. So I love they introduced the magnet thing. I don't know. It's comic book physics. In Winter Soldier, throws it and hits the jet.
That's right, yeah. It's amazing that he's been able to make it through 2 movies without anyone really having a big issue with that. Everyone's just like, yeah, whatever, the shield.
I love how no one ever shoots his feet, by the way, which is a wonderful.
Yeah,
I love for one of these movies like I think they do that in the first Avengers. Like all the aliens are fighting, he has to shield. I think someone like gets him in like the side of his stomach until he falls down. But it's like somebody just shoot him in the knee and be all over very quickly because he's just a human man, you know.
But there's the great moment in Avengers where the alien throws the bomb and he jumps up and like squeezes. He does like a roll, so he's completely behind the shield.
Yeah. He kind of like jumps and like tucks his legs in.
Well, he does that in Winter Soldier. When he jumps out the building, he kind of like he does that awesome pose, and then he gets into the little ball to land on the shield. I'm like, that's cool too.
There's a few moments where Winter Soldier is shooting at him, and he does sort of like. I mean, there's plenty of times where he's shooting and he could shoot his feet, but there's a few other moments too where like he'll be crouching down, and he'll use the shield, so he kind of protects his feet.
And there's a cool shot in Winter Soldier like there's a minigun and Cap like is using the shield to deflect the bullets into guys like people's faces, and it's just like do-do-do-bah. It's like, anyways, that's a different episode.
They get some great use of the shield in this movie, like when he puts it in the front of the bike, when he uses it to stop the door from closing, and I think. But one thing I want to bring up is I think First Avenger, outside of the actual Avengers movies, might have the best supporting cast in terms of pedigree. You've got Tommy Lee Jones, who's terrific in that steak scene.
Wonderful.
He's great.
Oh my god, I bought you dinner. I love that.
I love that
bit
steak,
where what's it made of?
He's like,
cow.
Look at that guy. He's making me cry. When he's doing the star jumps.
And then he's about to get up the car. He's like, I'm not gonna kiss you. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
You've got Toby Jones. You've got Stanley Tucci, who is spectacular and is so good. The scene when he's talking,
everything, man.
when he gives Steve the whiskey or whatever it was, and he's like, "Well, mate, you've got a procedure tomorrow." No. Oh, okay. I guess we'll have it another time. No, I don't have procedure. I'll drink it now.
I'll drink it now. Yeah, I love it. It's like
he's great.
It's like, did you save me? It's like, did you save me some whiskey? It's like, not as much as I'd like to. He was great. You know, I was.
You want to kill Nazis?
I got really emotional, and this is where I realized that the movie was better than I thought. Is because I got very emotional when Steve's like, "I gotta put her in the water," and I was like, "Oh no, Steve!" I got like legitimately concerned like for his well being, even though the movie opens with them finding him in the ice. So and Peggy's like, "Okay, well you be careful," and she's just like, and like you hear the communications cut off. I was just like, "Oh god!" Like I was getting like a lump in my throat. I was like, "Oh man, this sucks."
Well, see, that scene was ruined for me because of how it should have ended.
Yes.
Where they've got that bit where she's like, "You can steer the ship," and he's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "So you can turn it around. You don't have to ditch it right now."
Well, I couldn't get him one of the missiles. Yeah. I even flew one of them.
It's like, yeah, they're actually bombs are like the little planes. So, I thought that was a cool touch though, that like little planes were the propellers of the actual giant plane. That was cool. How much of it did ruin that for me, but I was emotionally invested in that scene. Chris Evans, like you said, is just incredible.
He's great.
As Steve Rogers.
The scene when he jumps on the grenade.
Yeah, that's great.
So awesome. He's like, "Get back!" He's like, "No, stay back!" And I was like, "Wow." He's like, "Is this a test?" He's like, "He's still skinning." That's a great exchange.
Because before the Captain America, I'd only seen him in like Fantastic Four or what's it called? Push. Yeah,
that movie with Andy and him.
Yeah, where he just plays just generally like alpha male bullies or whatever, or that sort of like jockey character. So I was just thinking, can he pull off a really sincere Steve Rogers? And he absolutely nails it.
For the first time in like 5 years, I rewatched Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and
so good.
He's the best part of that movie because the moment he shows up, he is so. You've seen Scott Pilgrim, haven't you, Bandit? Yeah, the moment he shows up, it's just like this douchey, like this actor. Like he's essentially playing himself as a douchier version because he's an actor. And so they got Chris Evans to play him, and like his eyebrows are always in this weird position, and like he has all the stunt guys fighting bitches over. It's like, yeah, I'll get a coffee. That's just he's so great in Scott Pilgrim.
And then he beats up Scott, and he turns to Ramona and says, "Sup, how's life? He seems nice."
Seems nice. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
And he comes out of the trailer to the 20th Century Fox theme, or the Universal theme, or whatever it was.
The Universal theme, yeah. Edgar Wright's a fantastic filmmaker. I would have loved to see what he did with Ant-Man, but that's beyond the point.
Bring me my board. Hi, big fan. Why wouldn't you be?
Why wouldn't you be? I love Scott's best friend in that movie too.
There's some good funny bits in this as well. Like I like the bit like after he gets the serum and he chases the Hydra agent down, and the Hydra agent's got the kid as like a hostage and like throws him over the edge. And Captain America runs up, and the kid's just in the water. He's like, "Yeah, I can swim. It's fine."
He's like, "No, get him. I can swim." Like this kid's just like easily staying afloat. I do love the cyanide pill because usually in like movies and stuff, like you always hear about like, oh, the cyanide pill didn't work or whatever, like in Skyfall. But it's just like straight up, he's talking. You see like the tooth ball of his like, and he's just like, and then he just starts like choking on the side. That was a great scene.
But I gotta say, I got a nitpick. Hydra agent, the point of taking the cyanide is so that they don't know who you work for. So you can't bite the cyanide and then say "Hail Hydra" right before you die because you just told them who you work for. The whole point of taking the cyanide is you don't tell them who you work for.
I think that was just him professing his love for his nation or his regime or whatever. I think that's a cool line. It's like if you cut off one head, two more will take its place.
Spring up in its place. Yeah.
I know, Hydra. Hell Hydra. I love that. Hell Hydra. Okay, Bandit, do you have some notes? Take some notes on the. Unless Trilbee has some more.
I like that the Tesseract bombs in the plane at the end had the names of the cities written in English, not on German, on them.
Again, how
that was
how
good.
should have ended,
Yep.
Not question my genius. I love that.
I think. I think the fight between Captain America and Red Skull in the plane at the end just kind of goes to show how much of a step up the fight scenes are in Winter Soldier, because it's really not good.
Oh God, no.
Well, I never felt that the Red Skull was a threat because there's an entire montage dedicated to how terrible he is at his job. So I feel like that they didn't do enough to justify.
And like they're all gone. He's just like, grrr. He's like, "I'll get your
curses."
And he's going up to the scientist. It's your job to protect them. The scientist's like, I just build the weapons. I don't know how to fight a war. He's like, I don't care. Do it anyway. Like, find someone else, Red Skull. I'm sure there's other guys that know how to do it.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, because the fight between Cap and Red Skull, they kind of tease it a few bits. Like, they have that bit on the walkway where, like, they both throw a punch at each other, but then they get separated. Scene. And then later on, he punches him a bit, and he's like, I'm on a tight schedule, I'll just shoot you. So they tease it a few times, so when they are ready to fight, you're like, yeah, and it's not really that great.
It just kind of happens. You're just like, oh, okay, yes, they're fighting now. Like, they usually, like, for a movie that's so flashy and kind of like, you know, kind of in a very, very well done way, campy, and kind of how they build to their villain. They build up this villain to be so great, and when they fight, it's like it's not that impressive. It's actually one of the weaker aspects of the movie.
Yeah, it's like, and the fight at the end, it's like they push each other around for a little bit, but then the plane like does a nosedive, so they're just kind of floating in the air, and they can't fight properly. And then Hugo Weaving's like, "Oh no, the Tesseract! Oh, I've been sucked into space," and it's over. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Red Skull's supposed to be like the only other one that's sort of like a physical match for him, so the fight should have been better, and they were building to it over the whole movie, but it wasn't really that great.
That's okay. They make up for it in that sequel, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Sure,
Lord.
Boy, did they ever.
Good Lord. Yeah.
But I definitely think like, I'm glad, like, rewatching it, because I think, like, when I watched it, I'm like, I really want to watch Winter Soldier now, right after seeing it. And I think, like,
I remember when the movie started, I'm like, I could just watch Winter Soldier again. Like, that was my first thought, was like, I could just put on Winter Soldier.
Like, for all our listeners, recommend you go back and watch the Captain America movies leading up to Civil War, because if he does die in Civil War like he does in the comics, it's really going to hit you hard if you watch.
You know what I hate? You know what I hate? When people say spoiler alert for a comic that's 11 years old. Like, people are always just like, spoilers! I'm like, first of all, it's like when The Walking Dead happened. People were just like, well, Glenn gets hit with bat in comics. It's like, spoilers! I'm like, no. That comic's been around for ages by this point. That scene's been around for ages. But we'll get to that later. When we do the Walking Dead thing. We're going to mention, we should probably bring that up right now, huh? About the whole Walking Dead doing. Do you want to explain it, Bandit?
Oh yeah, well, we're not going to talk about it here. We'll do a video separately. You and me, we'll do a video separately, because I've got so much I want to say about the last couple of episodes that it'll take too much time out of the podcast.
Kind of like what we did with Fear of the Walking Dead, where we had like a 20-minute discussion that you just put on the channel. I see. Yeah, okay.
So there was one bit though, like. Of course, not being like not having read any of the Marvel comics, I didn't know Bucky was going to come back as Winter Soldier, and there's the bit where, when they're sort of all in the bar and he's putting together his team, and Agent Carter comes in and she's wearing that red dress, and Bucky's like sort of trying to flirt with her, and she's just completely ignoring him and focusing on Captain, and she walks off. And Bucky's like, I'm invisible. And Cap goes, don't worry, she's probably got a friend or something. But I remember first time I saw that, I panicked, because I was like, oh no, they're not going to do the storyline where his best friend is jealous of him now, so he's going to turn traitor, are they? I was like, oh no, please don't do that it sucks so much. But thankfully
I was thinking the alternative version of the scene where he assembles the group in the bar is like, I need to have some friends here to help me out in this crusade. Oh, I hope my mother Martha is proud of me. My mother was called Martha, so was mine. I pick all of you.
Oh yeah, Trey, another thing that my mum said after she saw Batman v Superman is she's like, wait a minute, but Batman doesn't kill him because his mum's name is Martha. And she goes, but his mum being Martha has nothing to do with the reason of why he wanted to fight him in the first place. So she's like, so why does that stop the fight? I'm like,
you hear that, Warner Brothers? When the general movie-going public that sees 5 movies a year are making comments like that, you know there's a problem. Come on, guys. Get this worked out, please.
I couldn't resist the comparison. But when it comes to the first Avenger, I don't think of it as like a whole when I reflect on it. I think of certain moments, like the scene where he first meets the scientist, and he's falsified his papers, and he's got this poster full of diseases on the back of it, which basically has every disease that he has. And he says, I don't want to kill anyone, I just don't like bullies. And I think it's done so earnestly well. And there's the scene where he's being given the serum and he's screaming from inside the capsule. And of course the ending when he realizes that he's not going to get his dance with Peggy, and
heartbreaking.
There are some great moments, but I do agree that this relationship with Bucky is kind of one of the long game problems with doing a cinematic universe, because if you don't believe that relationship, it's hard to get invested as much as you should in the Winter Soldier or maybe in Civil War.
Yeah, I think that's going to play a lot in Civil War, based on what we've seen in the trailers. Yeah.
I believe that they're friends, and I'm sure. I have no problem believing. Like, I can swallow the fact that they're best. Look, there's a lot that I can swallow in the MCU. Them being best friends is easily one of them. I'm like, yeah, you guys are clearly best friends. My issue lies in that we didn't see it, in that they're more or less telling instead of showing. You really, I guess. Because they did their the scene in the alley's good, I suppose. That's one good scene in the alley. But pretty much everything else is just kind of like they're either bickering with one another or they don't really have a lot to say. And in a movie where where certain things seem rushed, I feel like that one's something they could have easily spent more time on. The movie does feel kind of off in the second half, and I feel like if they more or less. If they had more time to develop, because this movie's about an hour 50 minutes without the credits. So if they had more time to develop the Howling Commandos team, and especially the relationship between Buck, I think it's could have been a near perfect, one of the best Marvel movies we've got.
Yeah, I think it needed another 20-25 minutes on the runtime.
Yeah, exactly. The montage was cool though. I really loved the montage.
Yeah, I do remember after the movie came out, some of the Captain America fans did say, "Oh, it's a shame we kind of fast forwarded through a lot of that stuff." But I didn't find that at the time, being a non-Marvel fan. But I also rewatching it. I was like, it's good that the movie's just 2 hours. It's not 2.5 or pushing 3 hours. You don't need that long. But yeah, I guess things have to be cut at that point.
Yeah.
But I do I think probably my favorite bit is the bit where the scientist is talking to Steve Rogers just the night before he's going to get the serum, and he's basically saying why he chose him to be the guy who's got the serum, and it's someone who's strong, if they get stronger, they're not going to respect that strength, but you know what it's like to be weak, so you're not going to become a bully, you're not going to abuse that strength, and you got to stay a good man no matter what. And I thought that's so great, because see, a character like him and Superman, they both have their morals and their values are very similar. It's not hard to sort of set up who they are and what they're about. Just one scene with Captain America right there, and you know everything you need to know about this guy. It's not difficult, Zack Snyder. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, you just have to give subtle nuance. You just have to give subtle nuances throughout because every time he speaks, he never, even when he says something that's kind of more, threatening, there really is never kind of a malicious intent behind it. He's doing it because it's the right thing. And I feel like this is where, when Cap is, when he's down, Red Skull's like, what makes you so special? And Cap's just like, I'm just good from Brooklyn. He has kind of a smirk about it because he's enjoying saving the day. He's enjoying being a hero. So when you see Superman saving this giant, weird CG boat that's been crashed in the ocean or whatever, and he's looking like no one loves me, or when he's moping in the Arctic, it's like that's not Superman. That's not what he does. You can have Superman mope if you want, but that's what the origin movie's for. He mopes in the origin. He's supposed to be a good guy after.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and it's also worth remembering
he doesn't need to look and smile and wave at the camera like Christopher Reeve. There's a middle ground.
It would have been cool though. That would have been really awesome. I would have loved it.
And it's worth remembering the reason why he wanted to get into the military in the first place. He says there are other men laying down their lives. I've got no right to do any less than them. And the reason he starts that fight in the alley is because that guy is heckling during the news report talking about the soldiers and the war and everything. And he's like, show respect, please. And then he just gets beat up in the alley for it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's right.
That was so great.
When the guy who fights him stands up, to confront him, the propaganda piece that's playing says, "We will confront an obstacle no matter what the size." The guy stands up and he's so much bigger than him.
He's just like, oh god, this is gonna suck. And I love it. Just cuts to him getting beaten up in the alley. It's like, you don't stay down, do you? He's just like, I can do this all day. So when you see that in the Civil War trailer, now that means a lot more. It means a lot more going back and watching this movie because you're watching and like Tony Stark is essentially the bully in this movie. Yeah. But you know, yeah. So I think that's why. But the Civil War duality here is, we know Tony Stark is actually not trying to be aggressive. He's not trying to be the bad guy here. He thinks he's doing the right thing. So I'm really excited to see where they go with this. But that's just me.
Under ruse.
Under ruse.
Watching the first Avenger in the context of the whole wider universe demonstrates why Marvel's cinematic universe and its approach to storytelling works as well as it does.
It really knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
Yeah, and if that makes me a Marvel fanboy, then go ahead, whatever, have at it. But Marvel have a formula that has been working for, like, how long? 8 years.
Yeah.
And they do this.
You know why it works?
It's basically the most expensive TV series. Yeah, it's the most expensive TV series ever made. In a sense,
it's an ongoing. Right. It's a soap opera. It's a comic book. It's an ongoing comic book because and we talked about this. I think it might have been last week or a couple of weeks ago. You'll have your Captain America comic, and then you'll have like one character in the Captain America comic that'll be your bridge between this and your essentially for phase 1 it was Phil Coulson was essentially the bridge between Thor, Iron Man, and the Avengers, and then the end credits you'd have Sam Jackson and Nick Fury as appear in all the end credit scenes. Speaking of which, the end credit scene for this movie was amazing. I remember being in the theater.
That trailer.
I remember being in the theater and just feeling suddenly super hyped for just realizing that because my cousin is a big comic fan and he told me back in 2008 when Sam Jackson showed up at the end, it's just like Avengers Initiative. My cousin started crying. He was just like, they're gonna do the Avengers. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, they're gonna do the Avengers. And so if you're watching Captain America and he's just like, we're trying to save the world, and he just cuts to you see Shield, and then you see brief glimpses of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America all the same room. We're just like, oh my god, it's all real.
You got a mean swing.
Yeah, that was such a great trailer. That's a fantastic post-credit scene. I love it.
Yeah, that was the moment where it was the point of no return, really.
Yeah.
When obviously the studio was the point of no return for Marvel was Iron Man 2. It was we're setting this up, we got to do it. We've got the Thor post-credit scene and everything. But for the audience, this was when the Avengers became real. It was the first trailer.
10,000 people were just like, oh, that's when the hype began. Nerds were hyped for it ever since they saw Sam Jackson at the end of the credits, but that first, I keep calling him Sam Jackson, but that first trailer was just people
he is
going,
Sam Jackson.
Essentially. It's weird how he looks like Nick Fury now as opposed to what he looked like back in 2011, even then. I don't know, I don't know, maybe he's put on some weight, but that's whatever. He's getting older. That was crazy. That was, oh man.
I've only got 2 things left on my notes here to mention.
All right. Okay.
Which is both sort of tying to my history nerd stuff. One is Captain America in this is actually kind of similar to JFK.
Okay.
Because JFK in World War II, he was actually very... he was growing up as a kid and as a young man, he was always very sick and everything. And he was physically very weak, kind of like Steve Rogers. So in World War II... whenever he'd get a chance to prove his manliness, he'd be the first one to charge in and fight the Japanese or whatever. So he built up a real big record as heroic and all that. And he was able to use that to become president. So I just found the parallels between him and JFK was interesting. Also, history nerd, there's the bit where Steve Rogers, where they're all doing that run, and he's like, whoever can get that flag down doesn't have to run the rest of the way.
That was so good.
No one's got that flag in 15 years, and everyone's trying to climb it. And Captain America, he just undoes it at the bottom, and the pole falls over.
That was nice, yeah.
That's Alexander the Great, because Alexander the Great, there was this legendary knot, on this in a public square. There's a huge tangle of a knot. And it was said that the person who can untangle this knot will rule the world. And everyone's come and tried to undo it. And Alexander the Great sees it, and he just draws his sword and just chops it in half. And this was kind of like that. And weird crossover with Batman v Superman. There's the bit where Wonder Woman is looking at a sword in a museum. And Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, comes up and he's like, it's just a fake. That was the replica of the sword that Alexander used to cut the knot. So it's a weird Bermuda Triangle of references between all the movies.
Very strange.
That's been your history nerd moment.
And I know that this hasn't got anything to do with the final movie, but I think that the first trailer for the movie is actually one of the best Marvel trailers, definitely for Phase 1. It's so well cut together, and that shot of them bursting through the door and the music, and I guess if you've got a moment, I recommend you check it out. Just the first Avenger trailer, and it's the first one with 7 million views.
There's a great, what was I going to say? There's a great, how do I say this? Meme. There it is. That's the word. There's a great meme of when they first got Spider-Man back. It shows like Captain America busting through that door from the first Avenger, and then it just cuts to Spider-Man, and it cuts a picture of Captain America carrying Spider-Man. It's like, we got you, son. It's all right. It's like the building on fire is just Sony, and you see Marvel in the background. It's like, we got you, son. Don't worry. I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I hope there's a moment in Civil War where Captain America punches Spider-Man in the face. That'd be great. Just like that bit where, bit of the alley where Steve Rogers is fighting that bully. I just want to see Captain America just beating Spider-Man like that. Just beating him down, going, "You never learn, do you?" I don't like Spider-Man.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Bandit has this really strong resentment. Apparently, Spider-Man beat him up as a kid, which you really don't know. Yeah, a Spider-Man comic came in and just took all his lunch money when he was a little scout. It's just I don't see why you hate Spider-Man so much.
No, I don't really hate Spider-Man.
All right, guys.
I just love the idea of Captain America becoming a bully and beating up Spider-Man. Yeah. That'd be funny.
Captain America punches Spider-Man in the face, and it's like, so what makes you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Queens.
What makes you so special? I got bit by a spider once. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. So, what would you give the movie out of 10, Trilbee?
I reviewed it a few years ago, and this may seem low, but I gave it a 6 out of 10. I like it a lot, and that first hour is terrific, but it's that second hour that kind of lets it down. It just becomes quite a generic action movie, it's kind of what it's trying to be. But I think after that first hour, it really does lose some steam, and I think that the whole relationship with Cap and the Howling Commandos lets the side down a bit, and especially his relationship with Bucky, which should be the emotional centerpiece of the second act, towards the end of the second act, beginning of the third. But I do still like it a lot, and I think that in terms of just good old-fashioned heroic fun, I know you hate that word, Trey, fun.
Mm-hmm. It is a fun movie, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah. It's fun. It's honest with itself. It's endearing. It's great. It's a great representation of the source material. I think that the villain was kind of wasted, which is a shame, because Hugo Weaving's perfect for the Red Skull, but when you have a montage dedicated entirely to him just going, "Curses! I'm being foiled again!" it kind of belittles him a bit. Did you get what I mean?
That's great. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
He just needs to be twirling his mustache in those scenes, doesn't he?
Yeah, this is meant to be a big...
America!
Just next to this girl on a train tracks, nah, see, nah.
I tied Peggy to the railroad tracks. I think that what this movie needed, because it's trying to be a big, epic, old-fashioned action-adventure serial like Indiana Jones and everything, and The Rocketeer, it needed to be another 20-25 minutes long in order to really replicate that feel and the pacing of it, and it needed to have some elements fleshed out. And because this movie ends with him going, being frozen and waking up in the present day, you can't really go back to that and try and fix those gaps. You can do a few flashbacks like the Winter Soldier, but in terms of long-term fixes and restructuring, it's kind of the point of no return. Right. But I do like this film. This isn't like I gave Force Awakens a 7 out of 10 and it didn't make my top 15 of the year. You must have hated it, which is what people seem to really think.
Well, it's because you did hate it, Trilbee. You're the worst. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not IGN. 8 out of 10 is not average. Yeah. That's not how numbers work. That's not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works.
I love the honest trailers of that. Hey, the Force probably shows you how to do all this stuff. That's not how the Force works.
The Force works. Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, truly,
Chris Evans is epic.
Yeah, but I'd agree, Trilbee. I'd give it about a 6 out of 10 as well myself. I'd say, yeah, I'd say it's a good, solid B movie, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it's a B movie in
That's usually what that means. Because Dan Morrill of Screen Junkies, he called The Force Awakens a B movie, and he got like lit up because of it. I remember the comments on that video. Anyways,
that's like saying, "Oh, The Force Awakens is like it's got spaceships in it." Oh, I hate you. It's like, it is. Nothing wrong with a B movie. This is like The Revenant, where it's ashamed to be a B movie.
First of all, don't you ever compare Force Awakens to The Revenant again, unless you're saying one's better.
It just is ashamed to be a B movie.
Are you now? When you say B movie, do you mean like a movie that gets a B rating, or do you mean like a movie that's just like subpar?
No, as in like you get your. I define B movie as like a genre film. It's just another term for like genre, like sci-fi or action or fantasy. That's what I consider.
I guess I could say I feel the way about a lot of movies. Then, in my opinion, Winter Soldier's a B movie if that's the case. But that's just whatever. Anyway,
I think it's weird definitions.
I just thought B movie means just good but not great. That's what I thought it meant.
I always thought it meant like old, kind of crappy, campy kind of thing. Good to know.
Yeah, it's like
Reservoir Dogs. I consider to be a B movie because it is like a sort of not schlocky, but it is sort of like that ultra violent and gangster and stuff like that.
All right, let me rephrase. Instead of saying it's a B movie, I'd say it's a good, solid TV movie. There you go.
It's a Q movie.
There you go.
Let's just go further down the alphabet.
Reminds me of Nostalgia Critic's review of The Wicker Man. It's like, all right, A, B, or C. I choose Q. Son of a
How about you, Trey? What do you rate it?
Look, I had a really great time watching this movie. It was really well done. It's a great period film. And I really enjoyed. I love everyone in it. Everyone's, typical thing, So even though a lot of the CG doesn't hold up very well, I do think Chris Evans really launches this movie into the stratosphere of like, remember Captain America? Oh yeah, Captain America's great. If I tell you when to go back and watch the movie, it's going to be because of Chris Evans as Captain America. I give it an 8 out of 10, which is kind of high, which is a lot higher than I would have given it back in 2011. I'll tell you what, little 11-year-old me was really bored after watching this movie, but but I really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10.
Bandit, you were saying that the guy who plays the smaller version of Steve Rogers was like a 12-year-old boy or something. Mm-hmm. I just looked him up. He's like an Irish guy who was 2 years older than Chris Evans when they filmed the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh my goodness.
He's just like a small frail guy, like Steve Rogers was. Wow. He's got to get some meat on his bones, get some steak.
Yeah, get that boy a sandwich.
I was going to say, that's a great, good God, get that boy a sandwich. I love that line.
Look at him. Yeah. He's making me cry. Tommy Lee Jones don't ever change.
Have you ever seen him in interviews? He's so much fun because he's so awkward and slow and just like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? Well, it's just what the movie is. Whatever. Him and like pre-Force Awakens Harrison Ford was always just like the worst if you're a press junket just to interview him. All right, guys. That's our take on it. That's our take on Captain America: First Avenger. Overall, we all enjoyed the movie to different degrees, but yeah, listener questions.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay, guys. So this is the listener question segment. For you guys that do not know. Shockingly at this point, but then again, every podcast is someone's first podcast. We have a Facebook page called Movie Mania Podcast, in which every week me or Bandit or maybe now Trilbee will post a picture saying, "Hey guys, post your listener questions, and the best ones get read on the show." In which case, Paul Spooner asks, "Do you think Rogue One will be completely standalone or have ties to episodes 7 through 9?"
Well, I think
standalone.
Yeah, I hope it's standalone because. For me, the appeal of the anthology movies is that they're standalone and they don't connect to anything. Like, I've noticed some people have been saying maybe the main character in Rogue One is going to be like Rey's mother or something like that, or grandmother or whatever. I really hope that's not the case. I just want a standalone movie, doesn't connect to anything. I don't want Han Solo to show up. I don't want Luke to show up. I don't want anyone to show up. I just want isolated standalone movie.
Anyone who should really show up in that film is Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I think he's confirmed at this point. By the way, he should have been in the trailer because he's gonna have a very major role in this movie, and people need to know this is not episode 8 because people still think that's episode 8. So anyway, so that's me on the point. My point going here was, I think as long as it serves the story, I'm fine with there being connections. I'm not saying that's what I want, but I'm like I don't need like Anakin building C-3PO or something like that. Like I need. If that's where the story needs to go, like if they need to stop by a place to buy a freighter, and they're just like, what about this guy? Like in the same like in X-Men First Class when they're looking down the mutants and trying to find the mutants and they find Wolverine briefly. If you just need to do it's like what about this ship? It's like no, and it's just like, and then you see one guy's like no, and then you see Chewbacca. It's like okay, there's ways to put Han Solo in there that I'm okay with. But overall,
recreate the Wolverine scene in First Class, but it's Han Solo with the F-bomb and everything.
I think also I want, because there are certain stories I feel like need to be told. Like say there's a character or there's a certain plot line that's mentioned briefly that has happened that is directly related to episode 7 through 9, and they want to do an anthology about that. I am 110% okay with it, because Rogue One is essentially just taking one line from the text scroll of A New Hope and putting it and turning it into a full-length film, which is a great idea. So say I don't know, they talk about an event in episode 8 and oh, what happened there? Just make a movie about that event, and I'm down with that. I don't know. I'm not completely closed off to the idea.
I got one here for that I thought I'd like to get Trilbee your thoughts on. One of our listeners, Ben Haynes, says, "What are your thoughts on Hardcore Henry? I think it's a good idea, but won't catch on." Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Hardcore Henry, that's a movie that's out at the moment, and it's shot entirely from the first-person perspective. So presumably the actor had a camera on his head the whole time, and he walks around and you see what he sees. It's like you're seeing things through his eyes. Trilbee,
it's a video game.
More of the professional filmmaker of all of us, who actually works in a real job in the industry. What do you think of this kind of stuff?
Well, unfortunately, I've fallen into the filmmaker's paradox, in which I spend so much time making films and TV that I don't actually watch any of it. I wanted to see Hardcore Henry this week, but I work 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, no time for films this week.
It's hard out there for a pip. My God, Trilbee, seriously? That's a 14-hour shift. Oh,
exactly, and I should get 2 lunch breaks, but because of the nature of the work, I eat for 10 minutes and then back to work. There's too much to do. But yeah, so I've not had time to watch Hardcore Henry, though it is high up on my to-watch list along with Zootropolis. It's called Zootropolis in the UK. I'm looking forward to it as more of an experiment. I don't think it's going to be, or every film is going to be first person from now on. I think whether or not it can sustain 90 minutes is the big question. I think that what's more interesting for me personally is the fact that this was picked up by STX Entertainment, which distributed The Gift. They distributed The Boy and Secret in Their Eyes, and they're becoming a big distributor now. They actually
they're becoming another Blumhouse essentially.
Yeah, basically, and I think that's really good because you need that competition. You need more distributors out there because it costs so much to distribute a movie that it's kind of closed off and very insular. And the fact that they won a bidding war during South by Southwest? Oh no, Toronto. It was in Toronto, where they actually beat Lionsgate and Universal to distribute Hardcore Henry. But I think that the premise is really interesting. Sharlto Copley, I hear, is great in the film. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I don't think it's the next.
I think. Wait, so go ahead, Trilbee. Finish your thoughts.
Okay, so I think that from the trailers, when it has the Queen song "Don't Stop Me Now," I think whether or not you like the film, you'll know from the trailer, and I like that upfront honesty. It's like, we are a first-person film where there's flamethrowers, we're going to kick a woman down an escalator. I think my favourite shot in that trailer is when he gets hit off the freeway and he flips backwards onto the car, and you see the sky and you see the floor on the top of the screen and the sky at the bottom, and it's that kind of inventive camera work from a first-person perspective that I think will make this stand out. I'm looking forward to it, and I like that upfront honesty in the marketing. I have a feeling this movie is exactly what the trailer it's exactly what the director envisioned it would be. I was shocked now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to quote Obi-Wan, these are your first steps into a much larger world. It's like this movie. I'm actually really excited to see it. It's an R-rated film, and because the movie theaters are stupid, I probably won't be able to see it in theaters. Even though I think this is the perfect way to. This is the definition of a movie-going experience. It's at least from what I've been told. But my thing is like, I think that if this movie succeeds, not necessarily financially, but in terms of like if they're able to pull it off and make a nice, entertaining thrill ride for 90 minutes, then this is a great way to do certain kinds of action movies. Because I've wanted to see a Call of Duty movie for so long, but my thought has always been, how do you translate the first-person shooter aspect into a way that makes it work, and it's not just a generic military action movie? So I think if Hardcore Henry does what I think it's going to do in terms of how they're able to do the action with so much craft and care, if you get those kind of filmmakers, like say you give the people that did John Wick this kind of technology, and you give them a Call of Duty movie, that is like... You can do so many, because Call of Duty is so expansive. They have so many different vast locations. There's so many different ways to make these kinds of movies. There's hope here. Yeah.
Okay, here's an idea. Gareth Evans, the director of the Raid and Raid 2, doing a first-person Call of Duty movie.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I think what makes the Raid so great is that the camera's able to just kind of stay still and let the action happen on screen. And it kind of had like a long take action sequence of. I think the first person kind of like. I've only seen the first one. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen Barandal, the second one yet, but it's on my list. But I think what makes the first Raid so great is that it has some of those long take action sequences, and I feel like if you're going to do a movie in first person, granted, the whole movie will be a first take action or be a long take action sequence, but I don't know. It kind of, I think it takes away from the experience. But you're thinking in the right place, Trilbee. I like where you're thinking now.
And Hardcore Henry, of course, a original movie. It's not based off a property or anything. That's actually getting people talking, which is always a great thing.
I would like to point out, though, that this actually has been done before in the movie Doom.
I was going to say, it's essentially Doom.
Where Carl Urban... When he's trying to track down Evil Rock, because the Rock's in that movie, he actually does go into first person mode and imitates the video game for a while.
Just an angry boulder, just rolling around.
The Thomas the Tank Engine boulder.
Yeah, like remember that boulder that almost squashed Indiana Jones? Well, it's back, and it wants revenge.
Here's the board just rolling around. No, but I do think that this. Oh, forgot my thought. Never mind. So I write things down. Oh well.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
But while you're looking for another question, Trey, I'd like to give a shout-out to one of our listeners who sent me a message saying that before our Daredevil Season 2 episode, he stayed up till 3 a.m. binging the entire Season 2 of Daredevil just so he could be up to date when we do the podcast. I was trying to find your comment, mate, to give you a shout-out, but I cannot find it. So I'm sorry I can't mention you by name.
If we find out, I'll look for it, and if I do find it, I will post it on the Twitter.
Well, you can't search for it now because it'll mess with Skype, and then we kind of.
Yeah, but I'll look for it. I'll look for it after the show. And it's stuff like that makes this podcast so much fun to record, because the community that we're growing here is really well. It's being much more well realized. Yeah, I'm really excited to where this thing could go, and you guys are all awesome. Thank you. But that being said, Nathan Snyder, he asked, what is your favorite or least favorite MCU film?
Well,
so my least favorite is Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
but even then, it's just mediocre. There's not a bad film. Mediocre.
Well, you guys know what my least favorite one is. It's The Incredible Hulk. We don't need to go there again. That's my least favorite.
My least favorite, without a doubt, 110%. And as you guys it's Iron Man 4. What a honking pile! Iron Man 4 is just the worst. It's
What's your favorite?
I really like Iron Man 3-4.
Yeah. Yeah. So which is your favorite, Trilbee?
I love Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron. If we're going for just the standalone films,
no, just any one of them, Don't worry about it.
It would probably have to. it's got to be a tie between the two Avengers films, because I think the first Avengers is the most iconic and tightly written. I think Age of Ultron is more imperfect than Avengers, but it's much more grander in scope. It's tackling more themes. The characters are more fleshed out, and it's building to more.
We have the exact same opinion on Age of Ultron. I feel like it does a lot. It has a lot more plates to balance, and it succeeds a lot more than it fails. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What about you? What about you, Bandit?
Yeah, my favorite one is Winter Soldier.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of people's take is Winter Soldier is one of their favorite. Apparently, people are like, early word on. I've gotten a lot of tweets and texts about this. It's like, early word on Civil War is that it's amazing. I'm like, yeah, I've stopped listening to early word. I'm giving up on the early word people saying are because they're either fans who are too blind to see any kind of criticism, or they're liars. So, it's just typically that's what's happened so far. I've been burnt twice this year alone, so I can't. I'm done with that.
I like Winter Soldier, and I think it has the best hand-to-hand fight.
And Batman Superman, none of that. After Deadpool and Batman Superman both being like, it's amazing, every fan reactions are incredible. I'm like, I don't buy it anymore. I don't care. I'll see what I think on my own.
Who would have thought at the beginning of 2016 that Deadpool would be the better movie?
Yeah, that's honestly.
Even if you don't like Deadpool, it's better than Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
a dog turd is better than Batman v Superman. Yeah.
A jar of urine is better than Batman v Superman.
Just call it. My grandmother's peach tea is 10 times better than the best parts of Batman Superman.
Do you think the R-rated cut of Batman v Superman will have like a little Lex Luthor turd?
Maybe. Or it'll just have the scene where he's peeing in the jar just out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, I'll be right there in a second. You just hear as it's like going into the jar. It's like, why is this so warm? Like, worry about it. But my favorite MCU film is it's definitely Guardians of the Galaxy. I bloody love Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's so great, man. I love that movie. It was the modern Star Wars before they brought back Star Wars. It was it was perfect. All right.
I think it's a fitting thing. I guess I described Age of Ultron as like a grandfather clock in that it's got so many cogs and gears and it's so elaborate, but maybe it's a couple of seconds out of time, maybe it's a couple of seconds behind. Whereas something like Batman v Superman is like a raft with a million holes in it. It has one job and it can't even do that.
I don't give a lot of 10 out of 10s, but when I do, I think I gave Guardians of the Galaxy a 10 out of 10. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's pretty incredible. Yeah,
there's a question here from RG Lestrange, which says, which is the superior dessert, ice cream or cake? Very important topic.
Ice cream.
Now, obviously,
ice cream.
Obviously, the superior dessert is cake with ice cream, but that's cheating.
Yeah, I was going to say, as the fat guy, it's got to be both.
I think we're all a little chunky here, Trilbee. Listen, no, it's ice cream.
As the rotund British gentleman.
As I sit here with my tea in my hand, I definitely say ice cream is most definitely the best. Ice cream is the best,
then. Depends on the cake. Is it cheesecake? Is it chocolate? Yeah. Is it chocolate cheesecake?
And you got to take into account. You got to take into account that ice cream can give you a brain freeze, but a cake can't.
So can cold cake.
A cake can be dry and like get lumpy in your throat though. But ice cream is always just like blue. I don't know if you guys ever have. I don't know if you guys have Bluebell where you're from. And it's an ice cream brand they have here in the States. But they have this. They cookies and cream ice cream is honestly. If I'm ever to get diabetes, it's because I just take down tubs of just gobs and gobs of just cookies and cream ice cream. And it's you guys know cookies and cream ice cream is, don't you?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure. You just decided, I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm like, no, cookies and cream ice cream.
Do you get Ben and Jerry's stateside or?
Yeah,
Ben
it's
and Jerry's.
Okay.
It's an ice cream brand. Oh, what?
Yeah,
That is the bee's knees.
No, man, it's all about that Bluebell. Come down here in the States and you'll have some Bluebell ice cream, man. That is the best. Homebred right here in my own state of Texas, man. I love it.
I once had someone send me some Twinkies from America because I met this American girl. And I was like saying to her, I was like, in the movies, everyone talks about Twinkies. What are these things? And she actually mailed me a packet of Twinkies, and I was like, whoa, they really were not what I thought they would be.
No. They're so
underwhelming.
There's a weird aftertaste with Twinkies.
I'm so expensive.
It's like I flew too close to the sun. I'd like built up what these mysterious things called Twinkies were in my head.
By the way, Bandit, that's Icarus.
Oh,
we got
yeah,
about 18 comments
Not
about
Pegasus,
how
yeah.
it's Pegasus is definitely the horse. We were all just so tired that we forgot to correct you. Like I said, if I don't correct you, they will. It's definitely Icarus.
Well, that episode was so dense. Just every single second had so much going on.
It was filled with Greek metaphors.
Yeah. But getting back to the question here, ice cream or cake? I would make the argument in the cake's favor that cake holds a special status because you can have wedding cakes. See, ice cream doesn't go into that, doesn't hold a high status for that. So I would say cake is a superior dessert because it can be used for like special occasions like that. When ice cream is just run of the mill. Even though
plus ice cream will melt and has a shelf life, whereas cake will love you forever.
That's right. Remember that Seinfeld episode where Elaine Bennis eats the cake that's like 100 years old? There you go.
I need to watch Seinfeld. I believe that happening in real life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we should probably move on.
Thank you guys all for...
we tackled the hard-hitting questions.
I think that's all the
Here
questions
at
we
Movie
have.
Mania, we make dreams come true with cake and ice cream.
There's also a question of someone asking us what we had for lunch, but I guess we can skip that.
I didn't eat lunch today.
I had a pizza brunch.
I'm hungry. I didn't eat lunch today. I made some French toast for breakfast, so that makes any sense. This is how we start. I love how we started a podcast and end a podcast with just like random topics about anything. And a Captain America boring sandwich. Okay, guys. All right, that's it. All right. Thank you guys all for watching. That ends
hang on, just one last thing. I just mentioned that.
One last thing.
Because we mentioned the question, but I didn't say it, so I have to. Mark Dunville, you're the guy who said, "What did you have for lunch last Thursday?" Because I had the Rogue One trailer over and over and over. Good one.
And I had it once and thought it was all right. I had it once. I had it once and thought it was okay.
I also had the Rogue One trailer over and over for lunch. Yes. Sorry.
I think
please continue, Trey.
I had a Nutella sandwich. But anyways, yes, thank you guys all for watching. Good talk today on Captain.
Questions there, so we can bank them and use them next week or something.
Shh! Don't tell him that. So thank you. Good talk on Captain America and Rogue One, all that good stuff. Excuse me, Trilbee, where can people find you?
They can find me hard at work during the week, but now that I have internet, regular content will be coming back. You can find me on my website at www.trilbee.com. You can find my Facebook page, Mr. TARDIS Reviews, where I'm going to be doing more TV stuff, TV reactions and stuff like that. And there's also my movie channel, Trilbee Reviews. There's my Twitter at Trilbee Reviews, and you can of course find me on the Movie Mania podcast. And Film Brits is going to be making a comeback in the very near future. And I look forward to sharing all of that with you.
All right, Bandit, where can they find you?
The people can find me on... Sorry, excuse me. People can find me...
Find joking.
Find me dead in my corner, yeah.
On YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated. And they can find you, Trey.
And there you go. And they can find me on the YouTubes, Twitters, Instagrams, all that, at either Trey White or Podcast Media. Join us next week when we talk whatever it is we're talking about. What are we talking about next week?
The Jungle Book.
When we talk the Jungle Book next week. All right. Yeah, so that'll be Jungle Book next week. And catch you all later, our Movie Maniacs.
Hey guys, it's Bandit here. We just thought we'd include a little sort of end credit scene bit of audio from a discussion that we had. Because see, sometimes like when we have the bits, like the intros for each segment, I always like write down the time code so I can edit them in later. And often when we're in these like edit points, like we'll mention like we'll talk amongst ourselves about like what are the topics we're going to cover, just stuff related to the show, and I chop those out because you guys don't want to hear us talking about what, behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, in this edit point, we for some reason ended up going off on a tangent about Batman v Superman, and turned out it was kind of interesting, so we thought we'd just include it as an end credit scene here. So enjoy our Batman v Superman episode. That's the biggest episode we ever had on iTunes. It got like 3,000 listens on iTunes, and then about 10,000 on the YouTube thing.
Yeah, it was.
I love the comments.
Yeah,
Because most of them are comprised of, why do you think Batman v Superman would be good? Because all superhero movies are terrible. Is essentially what the arguments were. Like, actually paid attention to the plot of all superhero movies, none of them make sense. And it's
one of my favorite is when they comment and it's like, so they were like, so Bandit, so Star Wars is looking pretty good right now, huh? And I loved all those comments that you got of like, so Star Wars is great, Star Wars is looking pretty great, huh? It's great. That being said, Bandit, do you still give it a 0 out of 10?
Yeah, of course.
All right, making sure. Just check it.
There was one guy who's like, I'm still waiting. Can you give me the reasons why you don't like it? I'm like, dude, there's 2 hours of the reasons why I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't
want to review that movie ever again. It's dead and gone. It landed with a bloody thud. It's like, and now it's probably not going to hit $1 billion now. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's not going to hit. They're tracking it at like $900 million at this point, which is awful because they needed to make at least $1 billion to get their money back. So
they needed 1.2. They reckon 1.2 to actually be considered a success. If they keep Zack Snyder on after this, it's their own fault.
They're meant to start filming tomorrow, aren't they? For Justice League.
They're supposed to start filming April 11th. Yeah, well, hey man, you gotta stick to your guns. Because everyone's always...
People saying, they need to make a major course correction after Batman v Superman. Yeah, well, they needed to make a minor one after Man of Steel. They didn't do it. Now they need to make a major one. They're still not going to do it. If Justice League tanks, they brought it on themselves because they need to get rid of Zack Snyder. That's plain as day.
If Justice League gets the reception that Dawn of Justice... I tangent. If Justice League gets the same reception that Dawn of Justice does, then this is going to need a full-on reboot, just like Trilbee said. But Nostradamus over here, Trilbee, just predicting the future.
Literally everything I predicted in that podcast is coming to light now. It's all happening. I've predicted it. Yeah. But yesterday,
I'm just surprised Zack Snyder hasn't been fired yet. I thought it would have happened by now, but it still hasn't.
No, I think he's going to stay on. He may not direct the second one, but he's definitely going to do part 1. Yeah.
But yesterday, somebody was like, "Oh, you're biased and a Marvel fanboy," and I was like, I told him the low scores I've given to Marvel movies and the high scores I've given to 20th Century Fox movies and DC movies and everything, and then he was like, "Well, we know your agenda is really obvious." And I was like, what agenda? I was really looking forward to the movie, and I've got all of these like scores and this track record and this anticipation. And he's like, well, those scores are just an alibi. And it's like, an alibi? You mean the
truth? I don't. Look, I love 5
years of reviewing is a long, grand scheme to hate Batman v Superman. A 5-year plan.
How many times we said on the podcast, Bandit, look, the movie, we want this movie. The movie might be incredible. I want to love this movie, but the trailer sucks. I don't know how many times I've said that on this podcast of, look, the movie might be great. I'm hoping that it's great. And when it's so, everyone's just like, you're just a DC fanboy or you're just a Marvel hater. And it's just like I remember when, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this again.
We're still in the edit point, so...
No, you might as well put this in. If somebody accuses you of Disney paying you to hate this movie, accuse them of DC paying them to like the movie. It's the same logic.
Yeah.
It's the same logic.
It's all right, guys. So let's get to presentation. All right. Okay, ready?
Post-credits, Dean.
Put in the post-credits.